Howdy, partner. Now we move on to, in my opinion, the most underrated part of the game. Something that players used to have pride in before things changed, before ball chasing became the thing to do. Yes, I'm talking about defense. Now, previously we looked at the ground offense system, so we're going to cover ground-based defense and a little bit of backboard defending, but not aerial defending yet, as we haven't really gone over any aerial stuff. So here is the defensive course picture, and now you may not know what these terms mean right now, and that is fine, we will get there. So let's start at the bottom left with shadowing. From shadowing we can face out, which means to face the ball head on. We can fake, which means we can wiggle like we're going to challenge, or we can challenge, which ends the defensive chain, because once you challenge, that should be it, and then you'd restart depending on who's got the ball and so on and so forth. Now we can look at the bottom right, facing out. We can face out, which can lead to a fake, or straight into a shadow. Or again, we can challenge, and as you see, that will end it. But you can see this continual flow between states. You can use fakes to go between the stances. You can just jump into the stances and switch between them. And this will make more sense as we go through the course. And the first thing I want to start with is the true lost art of the game. The thing that you see top level players do so artistically, but rarely see in lower ranks. And that is the shadow. The shadow is such a powerful defensive strategy. It basically involves you being a shadow to your opponent. It's a great option when last man to try and buy time for your team and to give you the most chance of preventing the offensive plays. This should also be used expertly in ones to prevent offensive options from the opponent. Shadowing is a form of actually facing away from your opponent and continually being in the area they want to go, or they can put the ball. The goal is to take away your opponent's scope of offense, narrow it down until they can only put it in certain areas, where you can then take the ball off them and start your offense. And this is why we started with the ground-based offensive course, so you can understand what is possible from your opponent so that we can get the right distance. Now this requires a lot of practice, and people find this difficult when they start out because you are facing away from your opponent, so sometimes will turn in the wrong direction. This is an art form and it requires practice to get this down. So let's look at the shadow position. Our goal is that we want to be in a position that creates fear in the opponent, whereby they feel they cannot do what they want whilst maintaining a safe distance so that they can't quickly accelerate the ball past us via shots, dribbles and flicks. Now this requires understanding of the opponent's momentum. How are they moving the ball? Always ask yourself, what are my opponent's options? Then we take the most deadly option they have and we get into a distance whereby if they do that option, we can cover it. And we want to still be close enough that if they make a mistake, we are there to capitalize. Our goal here is opposite to when we face out, which is something we'll get into a bit later, but we covered it slightly in the 50-50 guide. When facing out, we generally want to be on the inside line, but when shadowing, we want to be on the outside line, but only just. Obviously, it goes without saying that if we are too wide and the opponent puts a shot to the opposite side, we cannot defend. So ideally, we are at an angle whereby we can make a save on any of their options. And to do this, we want to position ourselves relative to the ball on just outside the front post position. And if a player tries to switch and go down the outside, that's fine. We can meet them later at the backboard, go for a 50, or if it's coming at pace, we might even want to run it over the top. So that's the basics of shadow defending, and it really comes down to practice and understanding what the opponent can do. However, I want to give you a specific example of the moves that they might do based on what we've learned. So here we go. Let's say the opponent has pulled the switch and we know the hook shot is a powerful weapon. Let's create enough distance now to react to this. Now, let's say they've now gone into a carry, which means that their instant danger on our net is lower unless they're really high level and they've mastered the 45-degree flick. It's going to be a flick which will require them to get momentum, or an air dribble, which is slower and therefore gives us more time to react. So when they've got the ball on their car, we actually want to get closer, but we don't want to reverse, because if we're reversing and they're going forward, and they can just flick it over the top of us real easy, and that can happen so quickly. So what we want to do is we want to stop driving forward as fast. We still want a little bit of movement, a tiny bit of movement, but we don't want to go so fast as to give them more space and time. So we just want to go slowly, that if they do flick, we can still get up and make the save, but if they make a mistake, we're still close enough to challenge. Now, in this example, you'll see they've got a bounce dribble going, and this has put me further back because the options they have are so dangerous. They've got so many varieties of power shots from this position that I have to give them more space. So what happens if they keep getting closer and closer and they keep faking and they back you down? Well, that is why we want to just be on that outside position, because we want to funnel them into our net, into specific areas of the net where we can then meet them, and they are forced to put the ball to us so that we can try and play it to the opposite side. And this is how we get possession, and this is another reason we're on the outside line. If we were in line with them and we made a save, we wouldn't have as much ease to play the ball to safety and to follow it up. And if we were on the inside line, we wouldn't really be able to do much at all. The reaction time goes down because we have less flow with the ball. Now, the best way to set up the shadow defense is to actually blend some of the moves previously mentioned earlier. So as soon as they get possession, whilst they are trying to control the ball and are less of a threat, we move in for the kill using the facing out method. This allows us to close the distance and puts pressure on the opponent. This alone can force a turnover. But as soon as we close the distance, whereby we haven't put ourselves so close that we're going to get heavily countered, we then can actually shadow, and now we are in a closer shadow position that will prevent them being able to ramp up their momentum. And this also falls into the fake category, and you can see that the systems are already blending. So remember, the big takeaway from this is it's all about momentum and options. And if they've got no momentum, then the options aren't as dangerous, so we can be really close to them and we can challenge, okay? Hopefully that makes sense. And as always, to help solidify it, we've got a training pack. So here it is. Training pack in the comments below if you want to just copy paste it. And this is all it is. We're going to make our move from a shadow stance, get our defensive play when, for example, this happens a lot. The offensive player just shoots the ball at you or heavily touches it, and then we're just going to run it straight in, scoring as fast as we can before they get time to get back. And these all start getting further and further across the net here. So testing the speed and testing the ability to not only make the save, but to recover and get the offense flowing straight away. No time wasted. And for the moves on offense, you can do anything we learned in the last ground-based offense system, or you can just take solid shots on net. Any way to put it in an open net is good, as long as it goes in. Don't want to be too fancy, don't want to mess it up, just solid fundamentals, whack it in. You'll see, just save, turn, let's get the offense moving, put it on. If you can, I mean, you do get bonus points if you can put a hard shot on, or if you can put a high shot on, because a high shot will be hard to recover and save from anyway. So now with that one, it's all about just getting the right touch. You know, a lot of people think, I gotta make the save, I gotta make the save. Once you get to a certain point, yeah, great, you've made a save. Now what do? Well, I get shot on again. Well, let's think about how we're making the save then. Make the save to a place that you can get to it. That is the advanced defending strategy. But that is what shadowing allows you to do. Make a save to the side, to the corners where there's no threat. You've always got to put the ball to the corners. You know, one of the big reasons a lot of people get scored on, this happens a lot in frees actually, is people will just pass the ball straight in front of them when they clear, and you just get shot on. Never do that. Always put it to the sides, to the corners, where there is no chance that the opponent can recover. The only time you want to go down the middle is if you've got really good awareness and know that there's no opponents there, or you can shoot it over the top of everyone and really relieve the pressure. And this is what this training pack helps you do. It helps you learn. Take it to the corner. This is all muscle memory. If we get used to taking it to the corner, that will be our default, and we need it to be. Now the balls are going in the air. Now if you want to be more advanced, you can go up for an aerial save there, but personally I would never recommend that unless it was freeze. But in twos, in ones, If there's no danger, if there's no follow-up coming, take possession. Don't go up in the air and waste your boost and give the ball away. Take possession, take it on the ground, set up your offense. Be fundamental. Off the ceiling there, then none of them are the same or slightly different. And there it is. You see, it's a very quick training pack. You should blast through this twice a day for 2 weeks minimum, baby. That's what we're all about here. Get yourself 100%, put it in the Discord, and get yourself the silver belt. Oh, yes. Thanks for watching. See you soon, and peace.